Welcome to the Alta Sciences podcast, Gautam. I'm really personally very excited to kick off this special series of globally recognized business leaders, especially starting with you because of our relationship over the last several years and the success that I think we can say we've jointly had, and in particular your company has had in developing your compounds. So for everyone watching, I'd like to introduce Dr. Gautam Ghatnekar. He's the president and CEO of First Ring Research. It's a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company dedicated to delivering solutions for inflammation and injury-based conditions. So welcome, Gautam. Great to see you. So I guess the first easy question, maybe if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about First Ring and the history of the company and how the beginnings started with you.
Oh, absolutely. So First Ring, it's a company, a biopharmaceutical company, clinical stage, as you mentioned. We were based in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, which is close to Medical University of South Carolina in Charleston. And the reason we are here is because the technology came out of MUSC. And really it started when I was a postdoc in a lab at MUSC. And the reason I came to MUSC was because to study cardiac conduction system development. So it's quite different from what the company is doing now. But I had a personal interest in looking at cardiac conduction system. So in my case, when I was about 19, I was diagnosed with Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. And if you don't know what that is, it's an extra conductive tissue next to my AV node, in my case. It's not that uncommon, but usually one electrical impulse contributes to one heartbeat, and then it tends to dissipate. But in my case, when this electrical impulse went on this extra bundle of conductive tissue, it kept rotating. And that can cause, supraventricular tachycardia, some discomfort, and it's taken care of now, it's ablated. But that was the curiosity why I came to MUSC after my PhD. And I came to work with Professor Rob Gordy at MUSC, who was a pioneer in cardiac development, cardiac conduction system development. And we had this drug or peptide in the lab that was developed as a cell biology tool to really look at how cells interact with each other, how they communicate with each other. And if you sort of broadly think about that, not just in the context of development or early embryonic development, but also in the context of injury response, right? Cells fundamentally have to coordinate that injury response. And so what we did was we essentially developed a tool at that point unknowingly that had, a pretty profound impact on how cells communicate with each other and how they communicate with the outside environment. And that has a, tremendous amount of consequence. If you can modulate that, tremendous amount of consequence in terms of how the body responds to injury. And so you can control excessive inflammation. You can sort of promote how these cells are proliferating and healing the injury, and then also sort of mitigate scar formation. So there's a lot of value in understanding that and bringing that together. And so that was the genesis of First Ring. And this was back in 2005, really at the end of 04, early 05. And, I was a postdoc in the lab. I was 27. So being young and stupid, I thought it was a great idea. Let's start a biotech company. And so that was the genesis of First Ring Research.
And that sort of leads me to my next question, Gautam. We've had quite a long relationship with you guys. We've been through some challenges with your compound, and I think more successes than challenges, to tell you the truth. Maybe just if you could you maybe share with us some of the challenges that you've had, maybe perhaps bringing a drug to market as a company, and maybe some of the challenges as a CEO in this business.
Yeah, so when I describe sort of challenges generally in this area, biotech, biopharma, is I have these sort of four pillars, right? So you have the scientific challenge, you have the clinical challenge, the financial, and the regulatory. So all of these risks or challenges have to be mitigated for a drug to successfully, come into the marketplace. And then there's the commercial aspects of it, but that's later on. So, the scientific challenge was the key. Initially, we were able to raise enough money initially from supporters locally, and then really prove out the science, right? So now the science has been proven out, and then we were able to take that into the clinic. So the formulation that you guys are helping test is actually now in the clinic for several different clinical studies, right? Pivotal clinical trials, and that's the Granexin gel formulation. So really, it was sort of proving the efficacy and safety of that product in the clinic. That's the clinical risk mitigation strategy. And then obviously financial challenge in this business is highly financially intensive. You're constantly losing money, right? You're spending money. And the hope is that the drug is, approved eventually and investors are made whole. But that is also always a continuing big challenge in this case. And then you have the regulatory piece, which is the FDA. And that piece, again, FDA is there to sort of guide you, help you, but it's a risk, right? They have their ways of doing things. And so, you always have to consider that. And there is no across the street. You can't go across the street. You have to get through the FDA. So that's sort of the challenges, the way I describe them.
Right, and I'd be curious to talk a little more about the regulatory challenge. But first, working with you, I know that you've had successes over the years, and you also had challenges in terms of you gaining investment for your company and the idea of your compounds. I know starting as a young CEO that had some challenges too. Maybe you'd share a little bit with us about how you were able to secure funding for your organization.
Yeah, it was something else. I mean, you're talking about, you see this is, you think this is bad. Think about this at 27 with a mustache. It was all wrong. So, to go out there and convince enough people that this idea is
quite well, though, by the way.
So, no, I mean, they're obviously, there are different, one of the things I love about this country is if you have a good idea, enough people will back you, right? And so, this is a serious business at the end of the day. We are asking for people to part with their hard-earned money. And then, and the expectation is that we invest it wisely, we spend it wisely, and we actually see if this is, a workable idea, a workable hypothesis, right? And so it's been a long road, but at the end of the day, enough people believed in the idea, believed in me, that we were able to sort of get the initial investment. And also, one of the unique things I believe that this country offers, maybe along with some others, is the investment that we do in research and development, right? So initially, the way we started out was with the help of SBIR funding, the small business funding that NIH offers, right? It's a peer-reviewed a way that they decide to fund research. And so the fact that your peers think that this is work worth doing is also a good stamp of approval. And so we were able to leverage that. We had institutional support from the state. And then over time, as the risks were mitigated, as we were able to advance the products into development, we were able to get some really smart institutional hedge fund money to then really round out the financial piece.
I think that just in a quick reflection over the years working with you, I know that you have got a great idea that I think people can connect to, but it's also your passion and your charisma with driving these things forward that also helped you gain some of that funding. Maybe on the next question, another challenge I think is maintaining and securing talent, to advance your drug development pipeline. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your thoughts, your philosophy, what you've done?
Yeah, so one of the advantages in the Charleston area to operate a business like First Ring, which is a biopharmaceutical company, is that once you're here, you got nowhere else to go. We are the only game in town. No, but in all seriousness, it's sort of we have a small team, right? And the team, the people we recruit, they sort of understand that they are going to be part of this sort of small number of people that can actually take a drug, from very early stage right down to approval and into the marketplace. How many people can honestly claim that? I mean, you have big pharma teams and all that, and they work, but this is so different. This is so tangible. This is so hands-on, right? That there's going to be some. I mean, you can tell the story to your children and grandchildren, right? It's like I got that drug approved, and what we're working on fundamentally, right? So the stuff that you're helping us do, which is, the cutaneous radiation injury, is such a specialized indication, right? And if we can get it approved for that, it has significant, benefit in terms of medical countermeasure, a significant benefit in terms of mitigating a nuclear disaster. We hope never happens. So there's a lot of importance placed on what we're doing, and there's a lot of pride in what we're doing. And I think that really sort of brings the team together, motivates them, and keeps them here.
I can certainly say that from our team's perspective, and maybe perhaps in some ways in partnership with you and also potentially vicariously through your successes, I know it's very motivating for our staff to be connected with you, and you've been very forthcoming in your successes from a regulatory standpoint. So certainly appreciate that relationship that we have with you and your company, Gautam.
No, look, I mean, I consider you as true partners, and this is, and I don't say that lightly. And the reason I'm saying that now is because as a small company, where we are now in this pandemic situation, and you and I, we have talked multiple times in how to mitigate, how to make progress in spite of the challenges we are having, particularly in 2020. And, I mean, I have to say, we've worked with other CROs, and what you and I have been able to sort of work together, work out, make the most of available resources. So I applaud you guys for helping us do that, because, that kind of attention is essential for a small company. And it's not always easy to come.
I certainly feel that we have a great connection. Maybe the size of our company and yours, the enterprises, certainly connect well together philosophically as well as operationally. It's been a pleasure also working with you, Gautam. Maybe just a couple of things. What do you really look for in a CRO? You touched on that sort of partnership, that connection. Anything else you look for when you're looking for a partner? A CRO, perhaps.
So what I was saying is that, in the CRO world, most CROs will have, the sort of facilities you expect from a type A CRO, class A CRO to have. But that aside, at the end of the day, this really is a people business. And so having that rapport, having that trust is so critical. And not just with you as the manager of the facility, but also, in the team that you have built there and the people that you have there that are working on the studies, right from the study director down to the people who are taking care of the details, and that is so important, because as a small company, we have a pretty limited window in terms of, for mistakes, right? And so, to have a team, to have that trust in the people who are working on your project, to care and to actually deliver and, sort of take ownership of it, that is what we look for. And so, as I say, it's a people business. So you have to sort of, go and see who the team is. And that's what you guys bring to the table.
On our side, I have to say it's been great working with you and your team. You know that there's no such thing as absolutely flawless execution. We do believe that we have great quality, but what's really been significant in our relationship is that we've always talked about how to improve, how to overcome hurdles. It's been very productive and very much a partnership in with the two organizations. Gautam, I think in your responses today and the answers, we hear the passion that you have for your business and for the drug development process. what keeps you going every day, and you know, what makes you want to come to work?
Uh, so it's the same thing that what we sort of talked about before or touched on before is there is a huge sense of not just the ownership, the fact that I was a co-founder of First String and all that, it just plays into it. But the fact that we are on the cusp of doing something with this drug that could be really really important for in terms of healthcare, advancing healthcare, right? That is a huge motivation. Apart from that, the fact that you sort of I'm working with this great team, and not just at First String, but also with these organizations like yours that we work with. That how can that not be exciting, right? You work with good people, you have good science. That is hugely important and motivating. And then again, what think about this, right? So people, there were enough people who believed in a young kid from India, right, starting a biotech company, and gave us their hard-earned money, right? And I take that extremely seriously, because that is a huge responsibility that we have to make sure that we're good stewards of that money, and that we're spending it appropriately, and that we're working hard. So one of the things I always tell my investors and my board and our people is that a lot of drugs fail in this market, in this industry, right? But if we were able to, if we actually do experience failure, it should not be for lack of effort. That is something we can control. We cannot control the clinical studies. We cannot control the outcomes of those, but what we can control is our effort. And so that's what we bring every day when we come to work. It's that effort.
I know that personally, I've seen examples through the years of your tenacity and your dedication to your company in the end there. You've been known to, when needs be, to jump on a plane in Charleston, and fly out to Seattle and get back home for dinner in the evening, and all in one day. Well, Gautam, hey, it's been a pleasure. I know we will continue this discussion together. Hopefully we can do this in person next time, and over a glass of beer, as we're accustomed to doing it personally. But thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you taking the moment to film this with us.
No, likewise, Mike, and I look forward to having the beer and the Copper River salmon with you.
Absolutely, salmon's on me.
Cheers. Thanks.
Well, to everyone listening, that was Dr. Gautam Ghatnekar. Thank you very much again, and we'll have additional programs and videos available at altasciences.com. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.